distracting the ego is turning the will to receive into will to receive is the ego, is the egoistic will. Yes, and destroying it is becoming divine. Now, this is a Ashlagian Kabbalistic theme, but that fits very well New Age ideas of constructing, fighting, combating the ego seen as something superficial, and finding the inner self, inner divine self. So here then there's a New Age interpretation of Kabbalah, but it's based on a Kabbalistic theme that appears previous to this New Age interpretation.
Cobb TV. Watch your life make sense.
If I sit down and I study with you, what am I studying?
You'll learn the general laws of nature, those laws upon which nature is governed by. And then when you begin to participate, to be integrated with these laws, you begin to be like these laws, eternal, feeling yourself just like godliness, above the limitations of our world. You feel yourself having an eternal life. You don't identify yourself with this body of yours, but you identify with that same consciousness.
So a Kabbalist is learning how to become God?
Yes. Yes.
His own God of his own world.
No. You become the God.
Then her eyes opened, as the serpent said, and the woman saw that the tree is good to eat. Yes. So where is the Creator in this whole story? He is inside the serpent. In the serpent. It is a power in the creature called Boré, Creator, Bo'ureh. Come and see. Where do you see him now as operating the system? Especially in the serpent and a bit in the woman that's operated by him. I don't know what you mean by Creator. The Creator is the inner force operating, activating the system. The operating force inside the one operated. I don't know what Creator you're talking about. Something outside it? Outside this exists nothing.
The text starts by stating that God created the world with 32 paths of wisdom. Mm-hmm. And the 32 paths are defined as 10 sephirot, associated with numbers, and the 22 Hebrew letters. And 10 sephirot in the text are explained as the past and the future. That's the time dimension. The space dimension has 6 directions: east, west, north, south, up and down. And then the spiritual human mind-body dimension is good and evil, how we choose between good and evil. So that's the 10. And then there's 22 Hebrew letters that are divided into 3 groups: 3 mother letters, 7 double letters, and 12 simple letters. And these numbers 3, 7, and 12 are explained in terms of time and space and that spiritual human dimension. The 3 mother letters, they're expressed in time as fire, water, and air. Fire is like the hot season, water is the cold season, and then the air is the temperate season. So throughout the year it's divided into 3 seasons. In space, it's the heavens is fire, the earth is water, and the atmosphere is air. And the human body, the head is associated with fire, the belly with water, and the chest with air. The 7 in time are associated with the 7 days of the week. In space are associated with the 7 planets that we can see with the naked eye. And the 7 openings of the senses, the 2 ears, the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, and the mouth. A lot of Kabbalah has to do with the messianic idea. And the Zohar speaks about the messianic era as taking place in the end of the 6th millennium, preparing for the 7th millennium. And this has to do with the Jewish calendar. And the Jewish calendar starts with Adam. And the first 2 millennia take us from Adam to Abraham. According to the Jewish calendar, Abraham was born in 1948 of the Jewish calendar. And then the 3rd millennia and the 4th millennia was the time that the Torah, the books of the Old Testament were formed, and also the Talmud. The 5th millennium in entirety, the Jewish people were in exile, and they had a tradition that the redemption would happen at the sunrise of the 6th millennium. Now, this has to do also with the appearance of the Zohar at the end of the 13th century. If you want me to talk a little bit about this idea of the 6th millennium, I think it's important to understand. One of the services in Judaism is receiving the Shabbat on Friday afternoon. So the day starts with the night. It says it was evening and it was morning one day. So Shabbat starts in the evening, and the service of receiving the Shabbat was developed here in Tzfat. So it's not just receiving the 7th day, it's about receiving the 7th millennium. So the 6th millennium starts in the Hebrew year 5000, which is 1240 CE. And the Zohar appears something like 1290 in Spain. So that's like the stars coming out on Thursday night, the beginning of the 6th millennium. So if we fast forward from there 250 years, so it takes us to midnight of the 6th millennium. And that's the year 1490. So a lot of changes happened in the world from 1240 to 1490. One of them is the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, and that's when Columbus was sent. And he discovered a whole other part of the world. There was a shift from thinking about the world as flat to thinking of it as round. It was the beginning of the Renaissance, or the Renaissance was happening. Galileo was at that time as well. Important changes in the world. And that's when Kabbalah became very popular in Tzfat. The Zohar was first published in the middle of the 16th century. So the Kabbalists in Tzfat had not just manuscripts available, but actual printed texts. And that was the midnight of the sixth millennium. The Zohar teaches that the rooster crows at midnight, announcing the dawn. So the spreading of the teachings of a Kabbalah, which is about how to align one's soul and become inspired. It's about returning to prophecy. So the teachings of the Kabbalah is about bringing back inspiration to a people that has been suffering in exile for many years. So the spreading of the teachings was about to prepare for the Messianic era. The Zohar can be explained in terms of Sefirot in a more general sense, but Lurianic Kabbalah is primarily about Partsufim, and it's about using the metaphor of family as for Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. The idea is that if we see God in our own image, and just like we are both masculine and feminine, young and old, so we see God in Kabbalah. There's visions of God in Kabbalah as both young and old, both masculine and feminine. And just like the dynamics that we have with our family, sometimes they're broken and sometimes we repair. So it's a metaphor for the entire universe, that there's broken aspects of the universe, and it's part of our job to repair that brokenness. So if we can heal the breaks in our family, and then extend that outward to our community, to our nation, and ultimately to the entire world. This is the process that human beings and God are engaged as a partnership in repairing the world.